This is the Defenders podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We're talking about She-Hulk Attorney at Law episode 2, which I'm assuming is called Attorney for Hire. Welcome back, fellow defenders, to our discussions about She-Hulk Attorney at Law. This time we're talking about episode 2, which is, I think, called Attorney for Hire. I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
Strike that from the record, Your Honour. I am one of your other hosts, John. Welcome, fellow defenders.
Attorney has been hired, maybe?
Order in the court. We only have a short amount of time to talk about this, so there will be order in my court because I am your judge, Chris.
Excellent. Welcome back, Chris. Welcome back, John, for our discussions about She-Hulk, and welcome back to our wonderful fellow defenders. Thanks for joining us for our discussions about this show. We're going to keep these pretty light, as the episodes themselves are 25 to 30 minutes, so we're going to keep the discussions about them as straightforward as we can. We'll pick up any Easter eggs that we think we can find throughout the episodes as well, but we're going to talk about the story and talk about what happens in each of the episodes.
Yes, we will be getting into our spoiler-filled discussion, however light that might be, but we will be getting into our spoiler-filled discussion. Before we kick off with the episode details, remember, if you have just joined us, please head on over to tvpodcastindustries.com to subscribe to the podcast, where you can join us on any good or evil podcast catcher of your choice.
Absolutely. You can also join us over at our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/TV Podcast Industries. Spoiler posts up for every show that we cover over there. Right now we're covering Sandman, season 1. We are just finished our coverage, hopefully, of Umbrella Academy, season 3, which was a really good show, but just getting to the end of it now. I think a lot of people finished that off a couple of weeks ago, and obviously covering She-Hulk here as well on TV Podcast Industries. Let's get into the discussion about this episode. Executive producers for the series are Kevin Feige, Louis D'Esposito, Victoria Alonso, Brad Winderbaum, and Jessica Gao, with Case Coro. Jessica Gao is the head writer for the show, and this episode was directed by Case Coro, who we mentioned last time as well.
Yes.
And this episode was also written by Jessica Gao, the showrunner for the show, so stamping her writing style on all the episodes so far.
Yes, definitely.
Well, John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for She-Hulk episode 2?
Sure. With the case against the defendant thrown out by the judge after the events inside the courtroom with the superhero Titania, Jennifer Walters not only has to deal with her secret identity being public knowledge, but she is also fired as deputy attorney with the case lost. Jennifer tries to find more work, but is turned down after each interview by her potential employers, who fear her superpowers and her now public persona, She-Hulk, will get in the way of being a lawyer. Even at the Walters family dinner, she can't escape the shame of losing her job or gossip of her alter ego as the She-Hulk from the uncle, auntie, and cousin. As Jennifer starts looking for alternative careers outside law and she reaches a low ebb, she's offered a glimmer of hope from an unlikely source, Holden Holloway, the senior partner of the law firm GKL&H, offers Jennifer a new position after he was impressed with the case she built against him before he declared a mistrial. Jennifer is to head up the new superhero division. She arrives at her new position in high spirits as she retains Nikki as her paralegal, but things are tempered when Holden informs her that she must carry out all of her duties in the new role as the She-Hulk, and that her first case is a parole hearing for the one and only Emil Blonsky, aka Abomination. Rah, rah.
Yes, not much roaring from Abomination, though.
No, not really.
We see him mostly in the persona of the new Emil Blonsky.
He was quite well behaved, actually.
Turned down, namaste.
Exactly.
I suppose that's what yoga and mindfulness does to you.
I guess so. It calms down the Hulk inside of you.
It really does.
Excellent. Let's get into our case points for the episode. Order. Let's get on to our case note number 1. Jennifer has been fired from her job because of the fight with Titania. we see her in the bar after work. Lots of tropes from legal shows here. Every legal show, I think, always ended off the night in a bar after work. And this one's no different, right? She goes over to her local bar, has to turn into She-Hulk because of the adoring fans inside, and then is approached by her boss, or the former district attorney, or the actual district attorney, telling her that she has to lose her job because of the distraction that is now being caused with She-Hulk.
I do love that they have Ally McBeal playing in the background of this
definitely.
bar.
Yes.
I was like, I suppose if you're gonna have a place called Legalese, it's gonna be kind of, it has to have Ally McBeal and Boston Legal just playing nonstop on loop in the background. Like, it's just the only way until the barmen can actually feel like they are lawyers themselves. But the only thing you would add to it is, I would make it a themed restaurant, and all the waiters and the barmen are dressed as barristers from the UK with the big long wigs and the robes. It would just bring it to a new, brings that touch of class, you know?
They sort of announce themselves with a gavel on the table that they're serving.
That's happy hour time.
Yes. Very good. Yeah. This was great. I just say, loved the Ally McBeal being on the TV in the background. I just like that little reference back, because they're all chanting She-Hulk, She-Hulk. And, Jennifer's just like, I can't even exist without being a derivative of the Hulk,
Absolutely.
and just constantly fighting against the name, which was kind of referenced with Smart Hulk in the previous episode, where he says, I didn't come up with the name. You've just got to kind of run with it. She's just like, it's such a stupid name. But yeah, I loved all this sort of after work, after school, drinking that she's doing, along with Nikki, her paralegal, who just seems like really chipper. And at this moment in her life, after, certainly later on in the episode, pretty much helps, Jennifer to sort of, organizes certainly her quite well. You can see why she, would want to bring her along.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody needs someone like Nikki in their life to organize them and get them focused on getting new work, right?
Exactly. We have you, Derek.
Apparently.
Yeah. But, the bad news as well. I like the change after her effectively boss comes over and she changes back into Jennifer, but she has drank too much.
Yes.
Because whilst the Hulk may not barf after beer, certainly Jennifer has had very high potential to barf with the amount that she can drink as She-Hulk.
At least misses the chair.
It's really proper falling over.
Yeah, it's quite difficult in this show. And, we mentioned how good the CGI is overall for the show, but it's quite difficult sometimes because that is a bit of a rule change, because last episode they said the Hulks are fine. They can drink as much as they want to. But there are moments when Jennifer is in Jennifer form when she probably should be in She-Hulk form, but it's absolutely fine. It is a bit of comedy to have. And the whole point really being that she's not supposed to be able to get drunk, whether unless she's in her human form knocking back drinks. She shouldn't actually be able to get drunk because they're all the same body effectively. So doesn't matter. It's still a funny joke. I like that she falls off the chair there.
Yeah, but she had a hangover in episode 1 as well.
Did. Yeah, as Bruce would have if he had transformed back into Bruce.
Yep. I enjoyed this because it does actually set up a nice precedent of this kind of like, you saved people, but they're going to, like, the jury would have been biased towards you. And everyone's like, we can't have a crazy superhero celebrity working as a lawyer. And so it does set up a nice through line for this whole kind of this show.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's not just going to be like, there's going to be slightly more than the gag a week kind of aspects. There's going to be like, this is kind of like, this is what would happen if you were suddenly thrust into this position.
Yeah. I think that's it. It's, what does he say? You would just be a distraction or a liability for the DA office. And that's repeated, as we see her going for the numerous interviews as well, where it's, we want you focused on the job, not anything else kind of thing. So, and of course, at the moment with all the hype, like the chanting from the bar. So, it's a nice little touch, I think, to add in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the thing that gets her fired gets her new job. She's not just able to be She-Hulk, she must be She-Hulk in her new role. So that's what do they say? It's a drawback for one company is a benefit to another, I guess.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
And that's exactly why Holden Holloway wants Jennifer working for him as She-Hulk, number one, because, well, her defense obviously worked quite well. It was going to win the case, and then he squashed it because possibly the jury would be biased in her favor, but he was obviously quite impressed with her, regardless of whether she's She-Hulk or not, right? He wants to use that to their advantage as a law firm.
Yeah,
I'm hoping so.
Definitely. I like the fact that despite wanting to be Jennifer Walters, her new job, which she's very eager to take, is you have to conduct your business in the office and in the courtroom as She-Hulk. As she's turned up on her first day as Jennifer Walters. And oh no, I didn't kind of change for this with her suit. I think that's the only thing as well with the suits. Sometimes they have the ripped arms, others they don't. So I'm guessing at this stage she's invested in spandex suits,
yes,
like Smart Hulk said is the benefit for her.
Yeah.
For
Who's
sure.
Who's your best friend?
Exactly.
Nikki? No. Spandex.
Exactly. But there is also that nod again, breaking the fourth wall, where she's talking to us as the audience, saying from now on, everybody who works at this law firm is going to think I got this job because I'm She-Hulk.
Yes.
That's the only reason I got it. Whereas everybody else here, when somebody looks at them, it will be assumed that they got the job on the merits, and what they brought to the company rather than just being a Hulk. And that's why you get the job. So it starts her off on the back foot.
Yeah.
Begin with.
She manages to keep Nikki as well on her team, which is nice.
Yes, because Holden couldn't care less who her paralegal is.
And I guess the other side of it is with GKL and H, it's not the easiest firm name to say, I don't think.
It's not.
So it's like, oh man, could it just not have been like GKL or something like that? It's having the and H going on.
Holden Holloway is the senior partner. He has to have his name stand out there.
He certainly does. Damn you, Holden Holloway.
I'll call out one quick note here, since we're talking about that kind of time. There is a comic book room with a load of comic books on the wall.
Very good.
In GKL.
Very good. Yeah. Very good. Obviously, seeing if they could take some legal precedence from the adventures of their characters in comic books. We did hear that in the first episode, the first time really that we've heard mention of comic books in the MCU, when Jennifer was talking to Bruce, saying, "Did you just quote a comic book there?" So we haven't really we've heard of action figures of all the Avengers and all that kind of stuff in the past, but I don't think we've ever really seen comic books in the MCU before, or even heard mention of it in any of the shows or movies before.
No, I don't. Not that I can remember. Although there has been a lot of cinematic and TV time now in the Marvel world, so there may have been at some point. Yeah. But of course, this felt quite direct about it, which I thought was interesting.
But even when people were wondering how the details of Endgame and the Infinity War get out to the public, they said it was a podcast from Ant-Man rather than saying somebody dramatized it in a comic book. So they haven't even used that before as a way out of explaining how some of the information got out there. So you'd probably use that. So good job on the writers of She-Hulk for incorporating that now. So we have comic books in this world as well.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
But it's not just her colleagues and other law firms that have an issue with what happened in the courtroom with Titania. So moving on to case note number 2, there is the family dinner. And whilst her mum and dad seem quite supportive, there's one of the uncles, the auntie, and the cousin that, despite being told not to bring it up at any moment during the family dinner, the cousin is praised for being promoted in his job in Best Buy. So yes, they're not particularly sensitive to the moment for Jennifer, I guess.
Exactly.
And I think sort of coming from that excruciating family dinner with the cousin and the auntie and uncle, you do get a really, even though her mum and dad are slightly kind of slightly oblivious to certain things that's happening with Jennifer. You know, they do realize this isn't the first Hulk in the family. They've kind of, they give her some advice, and, you know, they are trying to tell the cousins and the relatives not to discuss all this. But there's that really nice father-daughter moment as well down in the garage or in the basement, just, you know, where he is really just trying to have that one-to-one to see, are you okay?
Yeah.
You know, how's things going effectively?
I really like that because he doesn't really get a word in edgewise,
No.
as Jennifer just explodes all of this information, all this stuff that's been going on with her in front of her, and he just kind of calms her down towards the end and says, I hope you're okay. Basically, it's all right. Bad things have happened. You're not the only Hulk in the family, and you didn't destroy a city. That's a big thing for a family to take on. So, interesting. I do want to know who her cousin is. Couldn't catch his name in the credits, but I want to know who it is because there's lots and lots of Hulks in the universe. It's not just Smart Hulk and She-Hulk. There's lots and lots of other various people who've been Hulks in this universe. So I'm intrigued to see if he'll also be another Hulk somewhere in the future.
Maybe it could be the Hulks, a family affair.
It could be.
Could be like Dynasty, but Hulks with Hulks.
Absolutely. You never know. You never know. Anything else in the family dinner?
I just want to see more. It's just, there's always these annoying in-laws and families and cousins. So I really want to see that kind of another dinner where it's like, but look, I did this. I saved the president from an exploding plane. But your cousin won Employee of the Month.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It definitely feels like a different family from the Khan family in Miss Marvel,
Yes.
doesn't it? A less supportive family. Now, they weren't always supportive of Kamala, but it is a different family. So intriguing to see more of that. I think even Jennifer has said a few times that she'll see Bruce at family dinners. So this is something that happens often, whether she likes it or not. And throughout their time together, there will be family dinners coming up soon in the future. Good stuff. Let's go on to our final case now. Case note number 3, the new job and the new case for Jennifer Walters. Is there one other person in the world that you would want to defend less than Emil Blonsky from the Incredible Hulk movie?
I wouldn't have thought so now.
No.
Which is kind of, I think what I really liked about this is, you know, she's kind of really, well, I've got a conflict of interest here because he did try to kill my cousin, Bruce. I do like the fact that she, you know, calls Bruce to effectively to tell him that she is going to take the job after she's gone to the Department of Damage Control prison, which seems a much more appropriate prison compared to the one where the clandestine were held in Miss Marvel. But
you'd think you'd hope they'd use these kind of establishing shots for 2 different shows. So maybe Miss Marvel will get updated with these establishing shots.
Possibly. But I really like that because Holloway says to her, well, are you not even going to just visit and interview the client? And, you know, you've got till the end of the day, you know, so she either takes it and has the job, or if she doesn't, well, then she doesn't have the job because there's no job for her. This is kind of like their big first case. The parole of Abomination, effectively. And I really liked that conversation between the two of them. Absolutely. Because I was there listening to Emil Blonsky, you know, Tim Roth, love Tim Roth.
Yeah,
and,
great actor.
You know, just where he goes, you know, I thought I was the hero. I was the one being employed by the government to take down someone who was damaging, rampaging, and all of this. And he feels wronged, in that sense, because he's the one that's, because he's the one that's ended up in prison, whereas Hulk is being fated and so on. And, but despite all of that, he has changed, spiritually, and he wants to live. I love this I just love the way Tim Roth sort of did it, sort of the way he was lounging in this, glass maximum security prison. I mean, Jennifer makes reference to the kind of Silence of the Lambs bit, is like, is he going to ask for a Chianti and some fava beans? And just like, but then seeing Tim Roth just kind of lounge there, sort of slouching in the seat, and starts talking about his 7 soulmates that he has met via the prison pen pal program. I just really, really enjoyed, but I really like the angle, because I was like, I have to go and watch that movie again, because in some ways he's right. It's like, in a sense, it's that alternate take from the side of, for that movie, the antagonist. Now, whether he's genuine in all of this, in what he's saying, who knows? But Jennifer feels that he's sincere in what he's saying.
Yeah, he was certainly thrown under the bus. I wouldn't recommend going back and seeing Incredible Hulk again. It's not that great a film. It really is not great. They tried to do something great with it. One of the big things was casting someone like Tim Roth, who is a very well respected actor. And I remember being surprised at his casting coming into this comic book movie. But unfortunately, it just didn't work in the end. It's not the greatest of movies, and was the last ever Hulk starring movie that we've seen. Because the rights for that are still over with Universal. So we can't actually get a full Hulk movie because of that movie. That's why we've been getting these kind of thirds being dedicated to Bruce to tell his story over the last 15 years, is because of that movie. So, but anyway, that's not the movie's fault, is it? You can still go back and check it out. There's some good moments in it, but the Battle of Harlem, where Abomination versus Hulk, let's say the CGI really doesn't stand up in that to where it is 15 years later.
Oh no! Back to the CGI.
Yes, sorry.
I loved Emil Blonsky in this. I loved this whole section. This is the second time they've done some standout writing, some standout narrative choice, like just script monologue pieces. So last episode it was basically Jennifer talking about how she is always angry and she can control her anger and thing. And here we have Abomination saying, I thought I was the hero. And these are just fun little takes in a comedy show.
Yeah.
So it's just every now and again I'm just reminded, like, just great writing. It's just like, cool. I did not think about that. We did not think Abomination. And again, it's almost like revisionist history, because
of course
we've seen the film. Yeah. But that's the fun part of when you're able to do an over a decade worth of shows and films. You're able to kind of go, well, do you remember that thing? Well, this is my view on this, and then this was
They did it with Dark World. They did it with Thor Ragnarok. I know they haven't done that yet, have they?
Cool. Oh, okay. Moving swiftly on.
But I did really like Tim Roth. Yeah, he's really good in here. Unfortunately, his transformation back into just Emil Blonsky, not Abomination, has had a terrible side effect. He keeps writing haikus as apologies to his victims. Oh dear. We do hear that even from Bruce on the call, when Bruce is saying, oh no, he wrote me a really nice letter along with a haiku to apologize. It was quite heartfelt. So,
and that's, we also see in that where he's in the Sakaran ship heading into outer space. And then you get the nice little gag of Jennifer losing the signal as it blasts off out of orbit, which really, really but she does take the job after going to visit him. You know, she feels he's sincere enough. And again, it's almost doubled down by Bruce saying that as well.
I wonder where he's going to. I wonder if he's going off to Secret Invasion or something.
Could be. I do like, he said it was so long ago, he felt like a different man.
Yes. Yeah, it was a nice little touch.
And we do get the fourth wall break of Tatiana Maslany giving a nod and a wink to the screen, considering it was a different actor. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It was a fun one.
I'd completely forgotten though that Emil Blonsky did not get the blood transfusion from Bruce. He was injected with the super soldier serum that created Captain America, and for some reason he turned into abomination, a Hulk-like creature. I completely forgot that that's what it was that caused it, that it's another test of the super soldier serum, not even connected to Hulk.
It was a gamma-based version.
There you go. He doesn't even mention that himself. He just says super soldier serum here. So, interesting that there's something there. I'm probably not going to go back and watch that movie again. I did watch it in all of our run-throughs of the MCU, but I'm not going to watch it another time to find out exactly what it was. So thanks, Chris.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess it's off. The Incredible Hulk is off the cards, fellow defenders, certainly for myself. I might have to sneak it. But I think the other final bit of this, which is just good, Jennifer calls Holloway to let him know that she's going to take the case. As she does that, he's like, you might want to see the news, as there are images of Blonsky fighting in an underground fight club, which we saw in Shang-Chi, and having escaped from this high security prison. So maybe it is the same security prison as the clandestine.
Maybe, yes.
From Ms. Marvel, that he could. But I thought this was interesting because I'm wondering, is that simply just efficient storytelling, that on the day that she accepts the job, these images are released to make the parole hearing harder, or who has leaked the footage ultimately to the media in order to make her job harder for the parole hearing of Emil Blonsky. So I thought that was kind of a nice little sort of twist on her taking the job. It's like, oh, back to square one. Now I've got to deal with this.
Yeah.
A super villainous writing team.
And she did have a good plan to get Blonsky off. Like she seemed to believe a story, and it seemed to be making sense to her that it would work. But Holloway didn't seem too bothered, though, did he? He seemed to be kind of going, here's the next challenge that you have to put up with in this role that you have. Good stuff. That is our case notes for She-Hulk episode 2. Any other notes? Anything else we haven't talked about for the episode?
Nothing from my side.
No, nothing from my side.
I did like that her father is really obsessed with what Hawkeye does with his arrows after firing them. Does he go and collect them afterwards? Or, because they're really dangerous to leave your arrows all around the place. I like that's in there. Also, our post-credit scene for the episode is Jennifer using her new powers to help set up her dad's new 4K TV and carry all the water bottles into the house for him in one go. I like the line from Jennifer. I'm glad you're staying hydrated, Dad, but this is ridiculous.
Or at least the cousin's going, I could have done that.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll be Doc Samson or something in the future. What do you think?
Oh my God. Oh my God. They could so do that. They're going to make a joke about that.
It's just because he's got the long hair with the ponytail that made me think that maybe Doc Samson. That's the only ponytailed character I know from all the
because the gamma induces his intelligence.
Maybe right now he doesn't seem like the smartest tool in the shed, so maybe it'll be the gamma.
Yeah. Well, at least when he gets gamma radiation, he'll become at least a hammer.
Good stuff. John, do you defend She-Hulk episode 2?
I do defend episode 2 of She-Hulk. I give it 4 Swiss Village mascots out of 5.
Nice.
Again, I'm liking the flow of this, and I think, that you can just flow from one into another. Really enjoyed that. Again, it's got the twists and turns around, Jennifer taking this new job offered by Holden Holloway from GKL and H. You've got Tim Roth on screen, so what's not to love there? You've got the little pressures coming in of her being recognized and getting her monocle of She-Hulk, even though she doesn't like it. So all of these different things I just really enjoyed, and just teeing up for her having to sort of, in a more difficult way now, represent Emil Blonsky at the parole hearing, now that he actually escaped from prison and was in an underground fight club.
Absolutely.
who was that magician in that TV footage? Will we see Wong? I'm hoping so. I'm guessing so. But yes. All really good. So,
and if you do want to see more of Wong and Emil Blonsky, definitely go check out Shang-Chi again.
Definitely.
If you haven't seen it in a while.
But even if you don't, just do it anyway.
Just go watch it.
It's
It's great.
film.
Yeah. So, and again, because of Wong with the Shang-Chi, I'm still thinking of that post-credit scene in Shang-Chi where you had Hulk along with Captain Marvel, trying to figure out the artifact that is the 10 rings. So again, maybe it's something to do with that and Bruce's trip into outer space as well.
That's possible.
To get some information on that. So yeah, absolutely love this. 4 Swiss village mascots out of 5.
Good stuff. How about yourself, Chris? Do you defend this episode of She-Hulk?
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Just, they're fun distractions. The comedy element is working for me. There's some nice writing. It's superheroes, so I love it. It's the Hulk, because we need more Bruce. We need more Mark Ruffalo in our lives. And this is actually even better. Like, just the acting is great. Yeah, completely defend it. Absolutely.
Excellent.
What about yourself, Derek?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. As I say, I think Tatiana Maslany is just great on screen, and I'm enjoying every time I'm with her. I loved that moment at the dinner table with her family, particularly because that just feels like what happens when you think your family are going to welcome you home with loving arms and, you know, lick your wounds and make sure you're okay, and then somebody just puts their foot in it, even though they're told not to, just to make you feel even worse about your time. Yeah, I think that's a real funny family moment. But the fact that she's got a new job, and I like this idea of having a superhuman wing of the law firm dealing with all the superhuman stuff. I wonder, will we see the Sokovia Accords return at some point in these episodes, where she may have to defend somebody who's not signed up to them or has signed up to them? That could be interesting. It may not go that deep into the MCU. It may just keep it light and funny as it's been doing so far, though. So we'll see. We'll see how the show goes. But definitely enjoying all these characters together in the show so far. Also, good to see a bit more competence from the Department of Damage Control so far in this season, even though one of their most notorious criminals has been able to skip out and go to Fight Club for a minute. But we'll see what happens with that next week on episode 3 of She-Hulk.
But fellow defenders and fellow quizzers, we are off to the Legalese bar for this episode of the pub quiz. Yes, it is question 2 and drum roll. How many jobs is Jennifer Walters turned down for in person after being fired as Deputy District Attorney?
Yes, I feel like there may have been some off-screen ones she was also turned down for, because it
possibly
seemed like she was going through a lot.
Yes.
Of rejection.
Yeah. So not only in person, but on screen.
On screen, yes.
Rejections. Yes, just to repeat that. How many jobs is Jennifer Walters turned down for in person after being fired as Deputy District Attorney? Answers into feedback at tvpodcastindustries.com, and you'll be in with a chance to go into the electronic tombola for goodies, She-Hulk goodies, at the end of the series.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for that, John. Let's head on over to some feedback about episode 1.
Yes. First off, an email is in from Jerry, who says, "Hey guys, the first episode was a great origin story. It was interesting how Bruce used genetics to heal his arm. What other things did he do to himself? The training and bantering between the two was fantastic. My only concern is, does this episode represent the series as a whole? I'll watch regardless, just because I'm a Marvel zombie. Steve Rogers' Virgin dialogue was hilarious. The Sakaran ship theory I have is Bruce has been visiting Sakaar during the blip because he has a son and has not returned since everyone came back. We will get this as an end credit, I suspect, at the end of the season. Your courtroom bailiff, Jerry in Niceville." Thanks so much, Jerry, and thanks for the theory there around Hulk's son.
Yes.
In Sakaar. Yes.
Possibly, yes, son of Hulk Scar. is the name of the character in the comic books, part of World War Hulk, I think, and Planet Hulk. So you never know. Maybe that's a story that we'll see in a future episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Or at the end of the series, as you say, Jerry.
And it's really good. Like, as you say, the Steve Rogers gag throughout this was really, really funny. And I suspect that this is an element of the show and the series represented here. So we hope you really keep watching it in zombie mode, but ultimately come out of zombie mode and really enjoy it. Yeah, exactly.
Feedback, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So looking forward to your feedback, Jerry. And thanks for sending in your thoughts.
Absolutely. We also have an email in from John Daniel who says, ever since Orphan Black, I knew I could watch Tatiana Maslany in practically anything. She is captivating, instantly charming and accessible as a human. As She-Hulk, she is all of the things and superpowered. I loved just about everything about this pilot. Sure, not every joke hit, but they never will. I laughed out loud and enjoyed the ride. Maybe the only clunky bit was Titania's entrance at the end. I endured the considerations about her outfit and shoes Jennifer made before hulking out for certain, but the interaction seemed shoehorned in. I'm sure we'll learn more about what's going on in the next episode, so I'm not really worried about my lone complaint. A definite high note for me was the ladies' room scene at the sports bar. The way that group of friends stumbling upon her came to Jennifer's aid was sincerely lovely and genuinely funny. I'll always maintain that comedy and horror are polarizing and super subjective, so if something gets a 50% in Rotten Tomatoes in either of those genres, there's a strong chance I'll enjoy it. After missing new episodes of Miss Marvel, this is a wonderful development. Can't wait for the rest of the season. Best, John from Chicago.
Excellent. Thanks, John, for the feedback. Yeah. Really glad that you enjoyed this first episode. And yeah, Tatiana Maslany in Orphan Black was just really, really good. And I think she pulls off both the humanity of Jennifer and She-Hulk really, really well. Mm-hmm. And I too like the ladies' rooms scene at the sports bar as well. Yeah, that was
good fun. It was good fun. And as you can probably tell from our podcast, John, I know you've been a listener for a while. Comedy and horror do tend to polarize even ourselves, with the three of us who are all big fans of this stuff. Sometimes comedy hits with some of us and sometimes it doesn't. Happily though, She-Hulk has really hit for all three of us so far.
Yes, definitely. Thanks again, John. Another email in from Coffee and Vodka who says, greetings, fellow Shatari scouted defenders. Decided to enjoy shows with a side of critique rather than the other way around. She-Hulk makes it easy. Fourth wall breaking on the first scene set a fun tone, followed by Tatiana and Mark looking like they had a lot of fun with this. Fun was the through line for the entire episode, and might be for the season, making me glad there's an online thesaurus. Even the fight was amusing. From the first scene to the last, as well as the mid-credit, it was pure entertaining jollification. Even enjoyed Jen's social commentary as to how she could control her anger. It was the perfect say to Captain Marvel's show. Cannot wait for the rest of the episodes, and already sorry there's only 6. Hope a season 2 is planned. 5 folded Fords, Richard reactions, and non-vaginal America's asses out of 5. Peace and take care. Coffee and Vodka. Thanks, Coffee and Vodka. It's a really fun show, and the whole stuff around Hulk and She-Hulk at his Mexican sort of beach getaway was, I just thought it was really, really good. And loving the word jollification, of course, as always.
Putting the online thesaurus to use, John, you see?
Yes, indeed.
Excellent. Thanks, Coffee Vodka. Good to hear from you again. I'm glad you're enjoying She-Hulk. Matt Murdoch also has some thoughts on the music for She-Hulk. He says, firstly, hi all. Sorry I haven't been too active with feedback lately. Just a bit busy this summer with other things, plus getting ready for House of the Dragon and Lord of the Rings coverage, which is going on simultaneously. Here's just a brief one regarding a musical Easter egg in the show, and I promise I'll get around to breaking down the main theme appearing after the Eve song in the credits in the future. Hope all is well. Take care, from Matt. Here's Matt's audio thoughts about the music in She-Hulk.
Hello, Derek, John, and Chris. Matt from across the pond here. Just watched the first episode of She-Hulk. What a fun episode that was. I'm really looking forward to watching this particular series. And as you guys know, I'm all about the music all the time. But I have to say that I do not know this Amy Doherty very well at all. I know that she's worked primarily as an orchestrator for Jeff Rousseau. She did orchestrations for his work on Star Trek Discovery, and something that might be of interest to you guys, I believe she was an orchestrator for him for the first season of Umbrella Academy as well, but I'm really not all that familiar with her work. I really enjoyed the theme that was played during the credits after the Eve song, and I think that that's the main theme, but I'm going to put that aside in the interest of time because I've already rambled so much, and I'm just going to focus on one little thing, and that was the scene where Jennifer wakes up, and she's at Bruce's bar, but she wakes up for the first time. Did you guys notice the Avengers theme being mixed in at the point where she was looking at the Iron Man helmet? It was just a snippet of the theme. It was just 3 notes. It was this. But you can definitely hear that it's part of the Avengers theme. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about Marvel and the way they're approaching the MCU, because they think about everything from a world-building place. It doesn't matter how many different composers are working on different projects. They all use each other's stuff to create a musical universe that interacts just like the characters interact. Anyway, that's all I got. I know that wasn't much, but really loved it. I'll try and get back to you with a little bit of a breakdown of the main theme in a future episode. Take care, guys.
Thank you so much, Matt, for your musical comments this time. It really, really good. Yeah, I love that world building stuff as well, that they just feed into these different shows and the movies depending on the superhero in question. It's almost a bit like Howard Shore with Lord of the Rings, and that world building that his music did. And, you know, in fairness, as you say, that's another aspect to the Marvel shows is in creating this universe, is that they put in these different themes. So yeah, really, really enjoying that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. Really looking forward to seeing what Amy Doherty brings to the rest of the series. I definitely did notice that moment with the theme from Avengers, the Iron Man theme. It was really interesting. A couple of years ago, Empire Magazine, who have their podcast going for about 10 years now, were doing a roundup of Phase 1 of Marvel, and they were saying the one thing that's missing in Marvel is genuine themes that people could hum along to when they go into the cinema. It's amazing now when we're into Phase 4 of Marvel, how iconic each of the themes for each of the characters are, that you can really tell when it's the Captain America theme playing, or the Avengers theme, or the Iron Man theme. When each of those are playing, you know what they are and you know how they're connected to them. It's just repetition. It's when you're trying to think back on movies that you remember from your childhood, you remember those themes, but early on in the phases of Marvel, I suppose, you don't suddenly catch them, but all really iconic, and some great work from all the composers in Marvel. Great to hear your thoughts. Hopefully we'll hear some more from you, Matt, about the main theme for She-Hulk later on in the season. But for now, let's head on over to Facebook. If you want to leave any comments over on Facebook, head on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/TV Podcast Industries. We always put up spoiler posts for all the shows that we're covering. Let's kick off with Donald Dennis, who says, so much fun. Jennifer Walters is a great character, and Bruce's realization of his jealousy while trying to make a connection with her because she is excelling at coping with becoming a Hulk is pretty on point. He considered the Hulk a curse for so long, he really has trouble seeing her coming to terms so easily. To him, it seems like some kind of denial. It was great to not have to wait a whole season to see her Hulk out, and I'm glad the introduction training scene seems to be out of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Donald. I love that whole aspect of their time in Mexico, actually. Yeah. Along with all the other fun bits around it and the fight sequence, just this notion that she is coming to terms so much more easily than he is. I guess due to the way she got it through the dosing through the blood, maybe, rather than the excruciating pain and trauma of getting caught in gamma rays, effectively, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels easier in that sense, you know?
Well, absolutely. But again, her point is he tried to deal with it by saying he was angry all the time.
Yeah.
She's saying, I can manage my anger. I'm a woman. This is the kind of stuff I have to put up with all the time, basically. Interestingly, again, I found out this week that from an interview with the creator of the show that these scenes, this creation moment effectively was supposed to be in about episode 6 of this 9-episode series, and they actually brought it forward. So that line right in the opening of the episode where Tatiana Maslany looks at the camera and says, you wouldn't be able to focus on our fun lawyer show until you found out how my origin story effectively. That is a reference to the fact that they pulled those scenes from later on in the series into the first episode.
Excellent. Good stuff. Thanks, Donald. Also, Richard Blaze says, I thought it was a great first episode and can't wait to see how this all plays out now. Did anyone else expect Hulk to go full out Hulk when they were fighting rather than staying as Smart Hulk? Worst name ever, by the way. Professor Hulk was so much better. Excellent stuff. Thanks, Richard. Yeah, I kind of feel as though full Hulk has been suppressed enough by Bruce Banner now and Smart Hulk that I guess there would have to be something really, really affecting or traumatic happening to the Hulk for him to sort of lose all that progress. I'm guessing, but
that was effectively the storyline from Ragnarok. Basically, was why he was being this full-on Hulk. So he's gotten over that. He's taken some time and he's chilling out as Smart Hulk. But the name given to him by the fans in between Infinity War and Endgame has stuck, I guess, and that's the joke.
Definitely. Right? Thanks, Richard. Also, Victor Von Doom says, "Greetings, fellow defenders. I absolutely loved this episode. I've been a fan of Mark and Tatiana's work outside of the MCU for years. They made a great pairing. I laughed through the whole episode. The soundtrack was a nice mix. Eve and Sweetie really rocked it. What issue does Sakaar have with Smart Hulk? Could they have a beef over the events of Thor Ragnarok? What is Titania's problem? Perhaps she will calm down when she meets Molecule Man. I am looking forward to more laughs next week. Excelsior, Victor Von Doom." Thank you so much, Victor. Yeah, in terms of Sakaar, it's interesting, is it? There's the theory that Jerry posited about possibly, it's not a question of the damage that he did or the events of Thor Ragnarok, but maybe one of the consequences of his time there, which is really, really interesting.
Absolutely.
And yes, Titania's problem. Why was she in court? I mean, is this just, dare I say it, a rock in the courtroom, a flash in the pan, or will she be back effectively?
Well,
who knows? Because just to get some more information, if it's even needed, it might just not be, of course.
Well, as Jamelia Jamil is the third billed actress in the show, I'm expecting we're going to see Titania back later on
I expect so too, but you just never know.
Absolutely.
But great stuff, and thanks for the thoughts, Victor.
Thanks, Victor. Joe Herbert says, "We enjoyed this. It's interesting to see how split people are on it, including people who have seen screeners for the first 4 episodes, which in this case is less than half the season. Someone noted that it may have worked better to have the final courtroom scene early in the episode, then have Jen say she needs to explain her origin and start the flashbacks. That makes some sense, especially given how abrupt that courtroom scene is. The villain appears out of nowhere and is quickly dispatched. There will be an explanation for that, Joe." We have also seen the first 4 episodes of the show, and I'm not going to spoil anything, of course, but this is a comedy show without doubt. There's some very silly but very funny moments, and they keep the comedy pretty well up throughout the season. So different expectations for a half-hour comedy, I'd say, than an hour-long drama for me, and it's really been keeping it up. So hopefully you keep on the ride, Joe. It sounds like you enjoyed it anyway.
Yeah, good stuff, Joe. Thanks so much. Heather Wallace says, "That was fun. I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going. We get the answer about why Bruce was human at the end of Shang-Chi, and even a secret about Steve Rogers. It's a good twist that Jen can control her shifts from Hulk to human because she's so used to controlling her anger just to live in the world."
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Heather.
Thanks, Heather.
Ronaldo says, really enjoyed this episode. The CGI was mostly so impressive and exceeded what was shown in the trailers. There was a couple of shots, though, that were less quality, but I guess it's always going to be so hard to do an episode where the two protagonists are CGI. Story-wise and intro-wise, seeing Jen on screen was very, very fun. With the origin out of the way, can't wait to see her in full flight. And I gotta say, Tatiana Maslany, immediately likable. I totally agree with you, Ronaldo. She's so good on screen. I'm so glad she's getting more exposure, because a lot of people didn't see her in Orphan Black. So I'm so glad seeing her in the Marvel universe now. We're going to see lots more of her, hopefully, throughout the season.
Yeah, thanks, Ronaldo. Hope you enjoy this season. And yeah, like yourself, I thought the CGI was really good. Mm-hmm. Maybe just a few shots, and actually it was weirdly to do with palm trees.
That's right.
Yeah, I just thought it kind of fell down there, but. Yeah. I think otherwise, I thought it was really, really good, as you say, because of the two CGI characters as well. So yeah, enjoy the show, Ronaldo.
Absolutely. Now, they did make some decisions to have a bit less of Jennifer as She-Hulk in the first episode than they were originally planning to do. It may have been the entire episode could have been her as She-Hulk, but they had her change a bit more often because CGI budget, CGI timelines. You can spend as much money as you want to on a show. Yeah. There is always going to be limitations, but I think what they presented there was absolutely great. Good stuff. Thanks, Ray.
Yeah. And finally, Dr. Bob Phillips has this to say. This was so much fun. I adored the rage control, the fourth wall shattering, the teaser for the after credit within the watercolor credits, the shoe removal, and almost more than everything, the bathroom repair scene. Excellent stuff, Dr. Bob. Yes, I like the shoe removal as well. I thought that was very, I think as Coffee and Vodka said, very considered when transforming in the courtroom.
Absolutely, yeah, totally agree with that. The bathroom repair scene, hey, we all need a bathroom repair occasionally when we're on a night out and have lost our shoes. Thanks so much, Dr. Bob, for your feedback.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Bob.
And thanks so much to you for listening. This episode of TV Podcast Industry is brought to you by our supporters over on Patreon, including Ray from Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. Thanks, Ray.
Yes, big thanks, Ray, for the support.
Yes, thank you so much, Ray. You too can be like Ray and support us monthly for any amount over on patreon.com/TV Podcast Industry. Or if you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you can pop on over to buymeacoffee.com/TVPI and buy us a coffee and keep our illustrious producer and editor in caffeine. You can also support us by subscribing to the podcast and sharing it with your uncle, your aunties, your friends, your cousins, the annoying cousin, the other annoying cousin, that annoying sister. You name it, share it with them all, because sharing the podcast is what, John?
It is sharing the love, fellow defenders. Sharing the love.
We always share the love here. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again next time.
Yes, thank you so much, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Yes, thank you so much, fellow defenders, for joining us again. Remember, keep watching, keep listening, and keep defending. Stay strong.
Bye.